Welcome to Pecan Hollow Boutique. My name is Lisa if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. And I am really excited about today's video because in today's video we are going to finish the inside of the Diagonal Tote Bag. Of course, right now, I have it all zipped up, but we are going to finish the inside. I'm so excited about the way this bag turned out, and if you stay tuned to the end, you will get a grand tour of the finished tote bag. And thank you for watching. Okay, so first we're gonna go over what you need for this project. Now, since I am decided to do all of the interior in this pretty burgundy, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see. So I'm going to move some of it out of the way. And so you need two pieces that are 19 by 22 inches, and I have creased these in the middle so I can see the center point. And then the next thing that you need is going to be one piece that is 20 inches by 19 inches. That's going to be for the slip pocket. And then you need one piece that's 10 by 20 that you're going to use for the zipper pocket on the inside of the interior. You need two pieces that are 3 inches by 19, and you are going to cut 1 inch out of each corner. And then you need two pieces to use for the outside of the bag. Now this is going to be the visible part, and since I was out of strips, I did choose some complementary fabric. This is going to be for these recessed zipper. And then of course you need your zippers. Now I have a 22-inch zipper for the recess zipper, and then I have a 14-inch for the interior zipper pocket. You're also going to need a pin, and you are going to need some double-sided basting tape. I got mine at Hobby Lobby. And then lastly, if you can put a label on it, and I have my label. So that is everything that we are going to need to make the interior of this bag. Okay, to start off this process, you're going to take your piece that is 19 and a half, or 19 by 20, and you're going to fold it in half. So where this seam is the one that's 19 inches long. So when you fold it in half, it's going to be 10 inches. So what we're going to do is sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way across the raw edges. And I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. Okay, so once you have sewn those seams together, you're just basically going to turn it right side out. So you're going to turn it right side out, and you can put the seam at the top or the seam at the bottom. It doesn't really matter, but you're going to take this to the ironing board and press it, and then you're going to sew a decorative seam all the way across the top. So decide where you want this seam, either at the top or at the bottom. I'm going to put it at the bottom, so I'm going to sew the decorative seam at the top. And you don't need to sew the sides. We are going to sew this down into the interior of the bag. So I'm going to go do this off camera, and then I'll meet you back here. the next part of the process is we are going to mark this, because this is going to be a slip pocket on the inside, and it's going to be a divided slip pocket. So if you want yours just to be straight, you don't have to do this part, but I'm going to mark this 6 inches from the raw edges with my heat erasable marker or pen. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So what that does is creates sew lines. So I'm going to set this aside. Then I'm going to bring our panel piece. And if you are using a fabric that there is a right side and a wrong side, you want your right side up. And then, because we don't want this to be in the box bottom, we're going to put this ruler down where it marks 6 inches from the bottom. Let me show you. 6 inches from the bottom. Make sure your line is straight. And then we are going to place our slip pockets with the decorative stitch at the top and that seam at the bottom. And we are going to place this just like this, making sure our outside seams are even. And then we're going to pin this in place. Make sure you don't put the pins on your sew line. But we do not want this to move while we're sewing it. So we're going to put these pins in here to keep it in place. Alrighty, and once we have it pinned, what we're going to do is sew a seam all the way down the bottom and attach this to the interior of the bag. And then we're going, after we do the bottom, we're going to baste it top to bottom, and then we're going to sew. You can do this in any order that you want, but then we're going to sew lines right here to make these divided pockets. Okay, so I wanted to be able to see this, so I took the camera off. I did go ahead and put a double seam at the bottom because these pockets are going to take a little bit of stress. But this is what that stitching looks like when you are finished with it, and it creates these nice little pockets. Okay, so if you're an inexperienced sewist, you can skip this part altogether. So on the piece that is for your interior pocket liner, you want to, if like for this piece of fabric that I'm using, it doesn't matter, the one side is the same as the other. But if you have a piece of fabric where it is obvious the wrong side and a right side, you're gonna want your wrong side facing up. And then this is the easiest way I have found to do this, is I'm just gonna take this ruler and put it 1.5 inches down from the top of this. And then I'm going to take my erasable marking pen and just go all the way across that. And then I'm going to move it down 1/4 inch. And I'm going to make a line all the way across again. And then one more time, 1/4 inch down. and then all the way across the fabric. And then you take it 1.5 inches from this raw edge and mark a perpendicular line, and you are going to do the same thing on this side. And then you're going to go about 1/4 inch from this perpendicular line and draw a line from the center to the corner on both sides. And so this is going to be your sew line right here, the two outside lines, and then the center line is going to be your cut line. So once you have your fabric marked, then it's time to place it on the interior lining piece. So we're going to fold this in half so we can find the center of this and just make a little crease line with your finger. And then decide which is your top and your bottom of your lining piece. If you are using directional or fabric that there is obviously a right side and a wrong side, you want your right sides facing up. I'm going to go down, let's see, that's 3 inches. Hang on, let me get my bigger ruler. Because I kind of want to go 4 inches down from the top. Let's see where that puts this. Yeah, I think that's good. So we're going to line up the center seams. So just line up those center seams. And then we are going to pin these in place. Okay, once you have these pinned in place, we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew a seam all the way around the outside of that box that we just drew on this fabric. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll meet you back here to show you the next step. Okay, so I've taken the pins out, and so what I'm going to do is fold this a little bit, and then I'm going to snip an opening, and you want to go all the way through both pieces. And then you're going to snip all the way down till you reach that triangle. And then once you reach that triangle, you're going to turn and snip almost all the way to that. Don't cut your seam line or your stitch line. You want to get as close as possible and cut that little triangle out. And then you're going to flip it over and go do the same thing on the other side. And then once you have that opening done, you're just going to take this cloth and put it through that opening. And so once that's through that opening, you now have the hole where we're going to sew the zipper. So I am going to go press this, and then I will show you the next step. because you want to press it where none of the inside lining is really showing. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so this zipper is much longer than we really need it to be. So I have moved the zipper pull down till it's about an inch or so past the opening of the bag, and then this is where you're going to need your double-sided tape. And what you're going to do is put your double-sided tape right there along the edge of that zipper, and you really don't have to go all the way down. You're going to want to hold it in place against the face of that lining. So you're going to at least put the double-sided tape where it will hold it in place, where we're going to join it to that opening. So it kind of looks something like this, and I'm just gonna remove the backing. Okay, so to make sure that this doesn't wiggle around, I am going to pin this. Where's my pin cushion go? I'm going to pin this edge so it will stay together while I'm placing it. And then we're going to get our panel. And we're going to put it where that zipper is centered in the middle. All the way around. And then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew a stitch line all the way around this little box to hold this zipper in place. And this can be a decorative stitch if you wanted to. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll show you what it looks like when I come back. Okay, so once you have your zipper sewn in place, the outside of the panel should look a lot like this. But if you turn it over, the inside panel is going to look a lot like this. So the next step in the process is going to be creating the inside pocket. So essentially you're going to take the bottom of that piece and bring it up to the top and line that up. You're going to pin it all the way around, and then you're going to open this and sew all the way around. Line up all your curves and sew all the way around this pocket to close it up. And then after you do that, then we're gonna cut these zippers off and your inside panel will be finished. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so I used a 1/2" seam to go all around the outside of the pocket to seal the pocket piece together. And now I'm just gonna take my yucky scissors and trim off this excess zipper because we don't need it anymore. Okay. And so when you turn this over and you're looking at the outside of the interior panel, when you open this zipper up, what we just did creates that interior pocket. So now it's time to actually sew the pieces together. So I'm going to grab the other panel and show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so we already have one of the inside panels face up on the table. So we're going to take our other panel and put it on top and match up the corners. We're going to put that top on there face down, so both of the panels are right sides together, and we're going to match up those raw edges all along the sides and at the bottom. We're going to match up all those raw edges, and then we're going to sew this with a 1/2" seam all the way down one side, and then we are going to leave a 4" opening at the bottom of this for turning, and then we're going to continue on and sew all the way down this side and all the way back up. And so I will meet you back here at the cutting table to show you what to do after that. Okay, so in the last video, when I was sewing the outside of the bag, then I lost all this footage. But we are going to box the inside just the way we would have boxed the outside. So we're going to take it and make it so where it forms a point there, and then this bottom, the bottom seam lines up with the side seam. Make sure your other material is out of the way completely, and then you're just going to lay this down on your cutting table, and with the point side up, you need your ruler and your marking pen, and you're gonna go 3 inches up from that point, and not the part of the point that has the hem in it, just where those come together, and go 3 inches up, and then you're gonna draw a line going all across, and this is going to be your sew line, and you're going to sew all the way across that, and then you're going to cut this down to a 1/4 inch hem or 1/4 inch seam. I am going to clip these to hold it in place while I do the other side. Making sure that those hemlines are together on top of each other. And 3 inches up. And there we go. Now we're ready to sew these box bottoms on. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'll be right back to show you the next step. Okay, so when you're done sewing, those little corners should look something like this. So now I'm just gonna take my scissors and cut those corners off. Oh, I had to cut my threads. So. Okay, so basically your liner is done now. So we're gonna go on to the next step, and I'm going to bring the camera down closer so I can show you up close what the next steps is, because we are all going to make the recessed zipper panel now. Okay, so for this, to make the recessed zipper panels, you need I have a 22-inch zipper because they didn't have the shorter zippers in this color. You don't, probably a 14-inch or an 18-inch would be sufficient, but I've got a 22-inch zipper. And then I have my 2 outer lining pieces and my 2 inner lining pieces, and then you need some double-sided tape for this to make this project turn out well. So first off, we're going to start with one of the outside fabrics for the recessed zipper. And instead of putting it on the zipper this time, we're going to put it on this fabric instead, because the zipper is way too long. If you have one that fits your outside panel good, then feel free to put it on the zipper. I'm actually going to put it on the cloth. Okay, so basically, well, I say that a lot, basically, sorry. Alright, so you're going to take your zipper and put it, where the zipper pull and the teeth are face down on top of your cloth. You can center yours if you're using a zipper that is closer to the same size. For this one, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna lay that zipper down, press it down firmly, so wherever, make sure that, like, see this one, the edges aren't lined up. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. The edges aren't quite lined up. So I'm gonna take it off and realign it where those edges are pretty much in line with each other. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna put another piece of that double-sided tape over the top of the zipper. Now, if you're buying this from Hobby Lobby, they call it double-sided basting tape. Alright, now we're going to put on our backing fabric. Now if you have a fabric that's obviously one side is the right side and one side is the wrong side, make sure you put it right sides together on this. And you're going to line those edges up and the raw edges together all the way down. All right. Let me redo that because those edges are not lined up with each other. It's the beauty of double-sided tape. Okay, so when you are comfortable with, now this edge is a little bit longer than this one, but we can correct that when we put the seam. So right now I'm going to just go to the sewing machine and sew this zipper down. Alright, once you have it sewn, it should look something like this. And so what I'm going to do is take this over to my ironing board and press that down on both sides, so where it's evenly pressed. And then I'm going to sew a top stitch along this line about 1/8 of an inch, and I will come back and show you the next steps. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat those steps for the other side of the zipper panel. So we're going to put the double-sided tape here. Oh wait, actually we're going to put the double-sided tape on the short side. This is really tiny tape. I actually prefer the 1/4 inch tape, but I thought I'd try the 1/8 of an inch tape, because it stays out of the seam line and doesn't gum up your needle as bad. 1/4 inch tape, you can sometimes gum up your needle a little bit with it. Okay, and like before, we're gonna take our zipper teeth down. Only this time we've got to line up. We've got to line up with this right here. So when we put that, on there, we gotta make sure it lines up. I'm not sure if I'm showing you very well or not. We want to line those edges up. There's one side. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And like I did with the first one, I'm going to sew these down and then do some top stitching. And then I'm going to do that off camera and I will show you what the next steps are. Okay, so once you have everything is sewn in place, you need to open your zipper and make sure, oops, that cut on thread, and make sure that your zipper opens easily. Some thread there. Because now is your last chance to fix it. So make sure your zipper opens and closes pretty easily. And it does, so we're good. So I'm gonna leave it partially closed. The next step, you're gonna take the two outside pieces and sew 1/4 of an inch down this line. And you're going to do the same thing to the bottom lining. And you're going to do that on both sides. I'm going to do this off camera and I will show you what to do next after that. Okay, so before we go on to the next step, so when you open the zipper, it creates a lot of space. So what I have done to try and keep the zipper closed while we're doing this next step is I have just sewn a line. Hopefully you can see that. I have sewn a line across the zipper that kind of keeps that zipper in place. So now what we're going to do is just make points, just like this, where this seam lines up with the middle of the zipper, and this seam lines up with the middle of the zipper. And I highly recommend that you pin this in place or use the clips. And so we just want them to stay in place on both sides. So I'm gonna grab my clips. We're gonna do a 1/2 inch seam right here. So we're gotta clip it in place on both sides. Definitely want to make sure it's even. And that it's centered on both sides. Just like this. And I am going to sew this with the seams open. You can do it however you feel comfortable with, but I'm going to do this with the seams open. And so I'm going to go sew these, and I will meet you back here at the cutting table. So when you're done, it should look something like this. Just make sure that your seam caught both the front and the back on both sides. And now you need to trim all your threads and trim the zipper up, because we don't need that part. If you have a rotary cutter with a dull blade, you could use it on this, but don't use your good scissors on these zippers, because it will ruin them. And if you want to cut this seam down to a 1/4 inch, you can, but to match everything else that we've done with the bag so far, you gotta use the 1/4 inch. Now, here is one really important step. Make sure you got this zipper all the way open, and you do, well, most of the way open, because if you don't, when we turn it right side out, it will not, you won't be able to turn it right side out unless the zipper is open. And so the next step is just to fold the liner up to the top. And now we are ready to add this to the bag. This is almost, well, this is the second to the last step before we have this bag finished. Okay, I've backed the camera up a little bit, so maybe you can see what I'm doing just a little bit better. So even though it sounds counterintuitive, you want the right side up to be facing up when you do this step, because if you don't, somehow it ends up inside out, and we don't want that. So what we're gonna do is leave the lining inside, or outside in, or inside out, and so we're gonna make sure our edges, our raw edges are lined up, and we're gonna match the seams. on both sides, and we're going to do it on the inside of this lining. So we're just matching up those raw edges. And the seams here. Now they're not going to nest very well, and that's okay. Now if you've done your seams well, this is going to be a perfect fit, and you just have to line up all the raw edges. And there shouldn't be any play in that edge. And I did a good job this time. And there's not any give. There's not any extra. It just lines up perfect. So instead of sewing this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, all we're going to do right now is go to the machine and baste these in place about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And I'm going to bring the camera down so you can see what I'm doing, because it's a little bit fiddly. Okay, with my raw edges, I'm making sure my raw edges, oh yeah, I forgot. Well, actually with this part you really don't need to take the little tray off. Just make sure that all your raw edges are lined up. I'm gonna use the edge of my presser foot as a guide, and then I'm gonna take my needle all the way over to the right, and I am gonna increase my stitch length to about 4.5, because this is just a basting stitch to hold all of this in place. Right here at these corners. So I am going to add my label to this part of the bag, because I forgot. I was going to put it on the inside and I forgot. So I'm going to put it on the outside right here. And I made my tags a little small, so I'm going to have to put it down a little bit further and baste it. Right along there. Alright, and that will hold that. That will hold that tag in place so it doesn't slip while we're sewing the rest of it. Okay, so we have the inside of the bag sewn together. Got the label on. Now it's time to put this bag together. So with the outside, face right side out. You're just going to put this inside the lining, just like this. Make sure that your handles are going down. And again, we are going to line up those seams. Now the zipper is going to be partially in the way. That zipper panel is going to be partially in the way. And that's okay. So just match up your seams. Now keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of bulk around these seams. So when you're sewing this, just go slow. Take your time. And it'll all work out right. And like we did for the lining or the zipper panel, I'm gonna put it where the handles are to start off with. Pretty awesome. See where I've made one or the other too big, and they match pretty good. I do have a lot of thread that I forgot to trim off. Okay, there's some more. Trimming all my threads as I go, I guess. I go ahead and open that zipper all the way because it's just making it hard to get this going. Alright, we're ready to sew this bag together, so let's get after it. Okay, now I'm gonna change my stitch length back to 2.5, and I have taken my table off, and because it makes it just a little bit easier to sew in a circle that way. And now we are going to sew this with the 1/2 inch seam from the top. So I'm using my presser foot as the guide, and I'm lining it up against this raw edge. And now, I'm just gonna sew. Okay, now we're having our moment of truth to see how we did with this bag. So basically, you're just going to pull the inside or the outside through that hole in the lining. Alrighty, awesome. And as I stated, see, you would think it's not going to turn out right, but look, it's turned out right. I'm just going to stuff this bag, stuff the lining inside. Let's check out. My little pecan hollow label. Just kind of put it in an awkward place, but that's okay. Now we're going to take this to the ironing board and press this down, and then we're going to top stitch all the way around the top of the bag, and then we'll be done with this bag. Okay, so this is the finished bag. Let me put it on my shoulder. So this would make an awesome travel bag. So let's do a little walkthrough. All right. Fast. So the outside of the bag has these pockets that go from the top of the bag to the bottom of the bag. You could fit so much stuff inside these pockets. And this is the lining fabric, if you remember from the first video. The zippers are smooth, they don't get stuck. So this is the other side of the bag. And again, you've got that really pretty fabric on the inside. And the handles themselves, I put fusible fleece in there. These are nice thick handles. They're not going to hurt your shoulders when you have this bag full. Let's see. Alright, so the inside of the bag has this lovely zipper pocket in it, and when you open it, it has plenty of room in that pocket. And then on the other side, there are these slip pockets where you can put things in the slip pocket. This is a nice deep bag. It is made out of 100% cotton, and it's completely washable. It's going to be a sturdy travel bag for anybody who picks this up. Wow, it has been a real journey making this diagonal tote bag. I have had so much fun. Things I would do differently next time I make it, as I would make sure I press all the seams open, because it created a lot of bulk when it came time to sew the bag together, and I pushed my Brother machine to its absolute limit with those layers. I think it can only sew through 7 layers, and I probably was right there at 7 layers, maybe more, and it really tested my machine to the limits. But you know, you use what you have to work with, and you learn how to adapt so you don't ruin your machine. So next time, I'm definitely going to make sure I press all the seams open, for at least at the top of the lining and the outer bag, and just press them open so it's less bulk to go around when you sew the bag together. Other than that, I think that the bag turned out absolutely amazing. It is my design. I am proud of it, and this bag will be a part of my fall drop that happens October 1st. So stay tuned to the channel, because I will be showing you more fall items as I create them, and moving into Christmas. And I know it's only July right now when I'm filming this, but it's never too early to think about Christmas. So anyway, thank you for being a part of this video, and I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel, and always thank you for your time and attention, and let's go make something beautiful.